generations. And now, the power of two restores the one.
We got a bidet! Hey everybody, and welcome back for another video. In today's video, we are doing our Shoot the Sheev for the month, actually, because we didn't have another one, unfortunately. But times get tough, right? And so we wanted to make sure that we covered some of the exciting things that did happen during the month. So we're here to tell you about a good handful of things. Some of these I'm super excited about. So I want to jump right into one that excites me a lot, and that is in our board games section. We did find out this month that our Star Wars Villainous expansion is going to be Revenge at Last, and we actually got a picture of what the box is going to look like. We did not get to see what the figures or tokens are going to look like. We didn't get to see what the plans will be for these characters, but we did get to see the box. And what we got from the box is that we will be having Darth Maul, so super excited about that, which lines up with the Revenge at Last quote. I don't believe he says those words exactly, because he says, "At last we'll have revenge." So they kind of, tweaked it around a little bit. But we also, with this new entry into the Villainous expansions, we do get the new, I would say, style or release version. I don't really know what you'd call that, but they're going from the 3 character expansions down to 2. And so we're only going to get 2 in this box, and it'll be $19.99 instead of the $29.99. They're trying to make it so that it's more accessible to everybody. I half wonder if they also, like, it's great that it's more accessible to people, but I also kind of wonder if they don't want to put too many characters out there right away. Like, if they have one less, then they can let their franchise breathe a little longer. So it's probably good all around for everybody. I know we'll probably be a day one buy, but I already mentioned that Darth Maul's in it, but also Captain Phasma. So if you remember when we talked about this stuff from, I believe, last month or the month before that, Shoot the Sheev, we talked about, that they revealed there was going to be an expansion. I'm pretty sure you and I thought of these people, so it's kind of cool.
Yeah, I don't remember Phasma being part of it, so that is a neat little surprise. We don't have too many people from the sequel trilogy. I know Kylo's one of them, but I don't know of any others off the top of my head. So that's kind of nice to have somebody else from a different era, just to kind of, give us a little bit of diversity amongst the trilogies. Especially because the sequel trilogy is one that isn't necessarily the most favorite, but uh, I think that Phasma is an exciting enough character that this will be a welcome addition to it. So that'll be nice.
A fine addition to our collection, as one might say. Who are you more excited to try out?
Darth Maul.
Same.
I know I just said about how great Phasma is. I don't know. I think he's very creepy and menacing, and not that she isn't a good character, but I don't know. I just lean more towards him.
It really makes me wonder what they're gonna, because like I said, they did not tell us what their objectives are. My guess with Phasma is that her objective is gonna be defeating Finn, because, that's how she went out, is, she lost to him. But I feel like with these two characters, they're gonna have to dive into their lore a little bit, because like Darth Maul, he had one movie, but he also had a lot of time in uh in the Clone Wars and Rebels, and he had, comics for beforehand. He's also in Solo. So
Ooh, oh, hey, question for you. Do we have a release date?
we do have well, we have two dates. We have the pre-order date and we have a release date. So the pre-order date, so when it's actually going to be, online and available to pre-order, is going to be June 24th. So it's still quite a ways away, unfortunately. And then the game does come out on July 21st. So, uh, if you're anything like us, we're definitely going to be making the people at Target getting that stuff out, when they're supposed to be. The last time they had a Disney expansion or a villainous expansion, so I believe it was the Star Wars one. Maybe it was Oogie Boogie. On release date, they were like, "We don't know what you're talking about. It's buried in the back." It's like, hello, it comes out today. Why is it not on the shelf now? So definitely gonna be picking on the stores for that. And you're gonna want, if you want the special edition, you're gonna want to get it from Target. Target is known to get the like exclusive sleeves and sometimes exclusive variant of figures. So you're gonna want to check out Target for those special editions. The other thing that I was saying about it is I wonder what they're gonna do for some of these. Like even for Darth Maul, I mentioned for Phasma maybe taking out Finn, but Darth Maul, maybe his ultimate thing is to take out Kenobi, because we know how that ends up in Rebels. So I don't know. I'm very curious to see what these end up being like. I think we'll get more information on like what the figures look like and what they'll be doing on the June 4th date. But right now, all we know is the box and what it looks like and who's in it. So we'll look forward to that.
Find it very interesting for when they picked that release time because of the movie. And I'm gonna jump ahead into one of your news things. 'Cause I'm sure this is something you want to cover. Uh, the movie that's being re-released to theaters in May features Darth Maul, yes?
Yep, that's where
So,
he debuted.
uh, I'll go ahead and let you dive into that one, but I think it's interesting that the game is coming out very shortly after that film is being re-released. So I think they chose their character for the cover of the box. I think they did that was a very calculated decision to try to get the hype up and maybe sell some more of these um games.
Yeah, I think they could have done a little bit better on that end because like I think they chose Darth Maul because the reason why it's being re-released is because it's the 25th anniversary of the Phantom Menace. The Phantom Menace is being re-released in May for I want to say just the weekend, but I don't know 100% what the dates are. They are on sale right now if you want to get your tickets. And before we dive too far down that rabbit hole, um, I could definitely see why they picked Darth Maul to match up with that, but also Darth Maul is a huge, cool character. He's definitely one that they like for the first expansion. They put Boba on the cover. People love Boba. Now we got Darth Maul. People love Darth Maul. I feel like if it was the other way around with Phasma on the cover, I think people would kind of be scratching their heads a little bit. But yeah, I
Well,
think
my point was I think they chose the release time to be 1 or 2 months after the film's being re-released because then it's going to be fresh in everybody's mind.
I wish it would have been the month though, like in the month of May. I'm just
Yeah.
impatient. I want my games. Um, Have you ever wondered what it's like to grow up during the prequel era? Do you wonder what type of merchandise was around then? How different was it than it is now? Check out our videos on this channel where we talk about the merchandise of the Phantom Menace and the merchandise of Attack of the Clones. They are here on this channel. The Phantom Menace is my first video ever on YouTube, so there's a special place in my heart for that one, so please, if any, check that out. Now back to our show. So as Sarah brought up, there we have the re-release of the Phantom Menace coming out in May. It's the first weekend of May, I believe. And like I said, tickets are on sale now. You can go ahead and get them. We got ours. We have the movie pass, so thank goodness for that. We actually don't have to quote unquote pay for it. So if you don't have the movie pass, that's a big perk. But the also big perk of going to see the re-release is that we will be getting a sneak peek of the Acolyte. So the Acolyte is the other one of the other new Star Wars shows that will be coming out this year. We can actually kind of roll into that news a little bit too, because we finally got a trailer and a release date for the Acolyte. So the release date is June 4th. So in May, when this re-release comes out, we're gonna, get a small snippet to go off of, and then the following month is when it kicks off. And when it kicks off, there will be a 2-episode premiere. So they're kind of following in line with a lot of their other Star Wars releases, and that will happen, like I said, on June 4th. So going along with that, we did see the trailer. Sarah, what was your thoughts on the trailer?
Oh man. Uh For me, there wasn't really anything that was super exciting. It seems like it's going to be another Andor, and let me explain. Andor was a show that was very heavily like plot and kind of drama related and not super like action type of a Star Wars show. But one thing that it had it going for it was that it featured Cassian Andor, right? Which everybody knows from Rogue One. So there's a familiar character. There's somebody that you're kind of rooting for that you know already. Whereas with this show, it's taking place during a time that we haven't really explored. So you don't really know anybody. And I feel like we didn't really
There's
get
one.
anything from the.
There is one person that we know.
Were they in the trailer?
They were not in the trailer, but they are around during this time. So there is a big hope that Yoda will be playing a role in the show. I don't think he'll be a focal point or he'll be a focus, just because he'll probably be more like a Jedi Council member that's guiding people. But I think it's going to be more focused on the people that we saw in the trailer. I don't know how many episodes this is supposed to be. Let's see if I can figure that out.
While you're looking that up, where I was trying to go with this is that I think it's going to kind of follow that same type of path for what type of show it is and following Andor. It looked very dark, like color wise, not like dark like. And I like very muted coloring. I feel like it's gonna be more of maybe a drama piece like Andor was. Not to say that there'll be no action, but that's kind of what I'm anticipating. But the difference here is that there's not going to be anybody, at least that we see in the trailer, that's going to be a big focus. That's somebody that we already know and care about and want to root for, or like anything like that. Which lots of new shows, have people you don't know about. That's not like that's something new. My point that I'm trying to get at is that, and maybe it's because we've had so many action type shows, between Boba and Mandalorian. So I mean, it makes sense for there to be a variety. Not everything has to be so action driven, but there wasn't anything in the trailer that made me think like, oh yeah, that's gonna be awesome, or I can't wait to see this, or ooh, look at this little spicy detail, or just something to make me want to watch the show. You know what I mean? Like there wasn't anything that really pulled me in.
Yeah, I think the thing that so a couple things. One, I think the combat action stuff, I think what took me off guard was that it seems like it's gonna be a complete different style, at least for a couple of characters, because it seemed way more like slow-mo, almost like anime-like type fighting. And so I thought that was a little off. Um, but
I
I
did kind of
think
get that vibe too.
I think what they're going for with this show is they're trying to almost do kind of like a Star Wars horror slash suspense, because we're with these Jedi that are trying to figure out who is murdering these Jedi, because we get from the trailer that I don't know the characters by name by any means, but one of them says, somebody's been murdering Jedi. What's going on? And so I kind of feel like it's going to be, almost like that where we're trying to figure out who it is. Us as the audience, we know it's probably going to be the Sith with the dude that chucked the red lightsaber, whoever that may be. But I don't know. I'm just the trailer felt very different. And I think the people that are gonna understand more about this stuff are the people that have been following the books, because this is set in the High Republic, which is like the new era. Aside from the sequel trilogy, this is kind of like Disney's first attempt at we want to make something that's completely brand new in the Star Wars universe that isn't connected to hardly anything else, which Yoda is probably going to be like the only connection that it has. And so the people that have read the books probably recognize some of these characters. I have no idea who they are. So maybe the people that have read the books are looking forward to it more than myself, but it's going to be a situation where I have like zero expectations and just hope that it's enjoyable. It's about where I'll
I do have high hopes just because I never want a Star Wars show to be bad, right? I want to be able to enjoy it, but I'm very nervous. I guess that's probably the best way to put it.
yeah, I'm not sure how to feel about it. So hopefully, when we go to see the Phantom Menace in May, that whatever the little snippet that we're gonna get, I'm hoping that that is what kind of pumps us up and it makes us ready and excited to go, well, to see from the nice couch at home, to watch the show. Um, Looking forward to it. Let's see. Yeah, we covered all that. Oh, so there's a couple other small things that happened in the movies slash TV show realm of things. One of them is that they are releasing the Andor season 1 and the Kenobi show on either Blu-ray or 4K, whatever you choose, and also in Steelbook. The Steelbooks look very, very good whenever we get our copy, which I think is the end of April. We will be showing those here on the channel. I am very excited to, see the Kenobi one because I know what the inside looks like. It's going to be phenomenal. I don't remember what Andor's look like, but anyways, what's really important here is it seems like with these releases that they're trying to almost tell us as the audience that there's not going to be a season 2 of Kenobi without telling us that there's not going to be a season 2 of Kenobi. And the reason why that is because if you look at the Andor release, it says season 1, but if you look at the Kenobi release, it says like the complete series or something along those lines. I could be paraphrasing. And so with that being said, that's kind of like Disney's way of telling us, hey, there's probably a 99% chance that there will not be a season 2 of Kenobi. I feel like this could go a couple different ways, okay? I think they're ending Kenobi's story part of this. And what I mean by that is when we were talking about like, when the series ended, we were talking about speculation of, where can we go next? Myself, I think what they should do is I think this show, Kenobi, should be like season 1, and then season quote unquote 2 should be like Vader, and it would cover more of what's going on with him during this time, and maybe Kenobi plays a part in that somehow. But ultimately, I think we should have some focus on Vader, and it's almost like a continuation of what we left off with in Kenobi, but at the same time, it's completely different. So that's why you wouldn't say season 2 Vader, right? Because it's not linked to the Kenobi show. So I'm kind of hoping that's the route that they're going if they're gonna extend beyond this first season. But as far as this show and I think a focus on Kenobi, I think it's done. So,
In a way, they kind of did a similar concept with Book of Boba because it was tied to The Mandalorian, and it was almost like uh at least some of the episodes were kind of part of more so part of the Mandalorian series than focusing on Boba himself. I remember there was at least one episode in particular, I think, that was like super focused on the Mandalorian, even though it was in the Book of Boba season.
There's a couple.
Um, so that wouldn't necessarily be something that's unheard of.
Yeah, it's because like Book of Boba was like Mando 2.5 kind of a thing. So yeah, that's a great connection. They could very well be doing that with Kenobi, and if they don't, then they don't. But I'm hopeful that they extend because I really think it would be cool to have a Vader show. Everybody says we have a Vader show. It's the prequel series, and it's like, no, that's how he turned into Vader. You know, it's not a show about what he's going through in between, episode 3 and episode 4. So I think that would be a great thing to be able to do. And I think also, if done right, I think that would drive a lot of views, especially if it's focused on the comic books that are super popular. So I think
Well,
Disney did.
there's a lot of time in between episodes 3 and 4 that's really not super explored in the film genre, right? With Vader. Like we've looked at all these other characters with little hints of Vader, but not a whole lot of focus on Vader himself.
Right. And I think there's a lot you can really do with Vader because people don't look at Vader and think there's a human there. Like even Obi-Wan said he's more machine now than man. There is a person in there. If you read the comic books, he revisits Padme's grave at one point. And there's even there's a book or a story in the comics where he thinks he's seeing Padme everywhere. And there's a whole thing with that. And so there's much more to his character than just being this tall dude that is scary. He's a human himself. So I think it would be really, really cool for them to bring back Hayden Christensen as well and cover a lot of Darth Vader stuff. It would be amazing. But will they do it? I don't know. Probably not because it's what I want. Um, all right. The other small little piece of information that we got, and this is good. I'm hopeful that this comes to fruition, but supposedly Patty Jenkins has mentioned that the Rogue Squadron movie is back in production. So I am hopeful that that does happen. I love the idea of getting basically a Top Gun Star Wars film because um, the air combat and dogfighting part of Star Wars is very exciting, and Disney has done well with that stuff too. I will say the sequence in Rogue One is top notch. It's very good. So I would be very, very curious to see how that movie plays out, especially since Patty Jenkins herself, when they were first talking about this film, talked about a lot of her deeper connections to the film. I think she had a grandfather or uncle or somebody that was like in the Air Force. And so she recognizes those like connections and relationships that people have in those scenarios.
So, can you remind me again where or what Rogue Squadron was supposed to be about? Because I feel like it's been so long since I've heard of it that like it sounds familiar maybe from the video games or something, but I'm not fully sure where this was supposed to take place.
There wasn't a lot of information about it. My guess is that it was supposed to be in the New Republic. So it was probably going to be something along the lines of what Disney was going to do with um, Cara Dune and her character, because she was supposed to be like this, um, like Captain Marshall, whoever, in or after Mando, but then things happened with Gina Carano, so then they scrapped that. So I think it was supposed to be somewhere around that time, like during the Mando time. But Rogue Squadron, like I said, it's Top Gun with Star Wars. It's being in the Air Force for Star Wars, basically.
Did we
Um,
have a video game of that?
yeah, there's been three.
Oh,
There's Rogue
3 of them.
Squadron 1, 2, and 3.
Wow. Okay. So I knew it sounded familiar, but I didn't realize there were quite 3 of them. Holy cow.
Yeah. The first one came out for Nintendo 64, and the other two were on GameCube, and then nothing since. Which,
Hmm.
what the heck, Disney? I mean, they made a Star Wars Squadrons game. EA did. That is not what Rogue Squadron was. So they don't get a free pass on that.
But maybe they can make it up to you with this movie.
Heck, I would even be happy like if they make this movie and they do a video game movie tie-in and they do a Rogue Squadron thing with it. That would be dope. You don't see that stuff much anymore.
What if they did a Lego Rogue Squadron of the movie?
It'd be great, but that company is also somewhat in shambles too, so I don't even know what to have faith for them.
Oh no.
They keep making as much like microtransaction-y type stuff as they can in mobile gaming and not focusing on consoles. Like we used to get a Lego game every year. Every year. And we got Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga recently, and that's been like the only, I would say, main game in years. Because
That
there's
was
obviously been Lego Brawls. There's also been um one or two Lego games for the mobile device. But those are not like full-fledged licensed games that like they're known for. So
that Skywalker game that Skywalker Saga series game that you just mentioned was 2 years ago.
yeah, and there's been nothing since. They would argue that they put out XYZ, but I would say that's not what us true fans want.
Like the racers.
Yeah, well, okay, I forgot about that one because I haven't played it yet, but yeah, I mean that came out. I do think it looks good, but it's not what we're used to getting. So, yeah, maybe we'll get something like that. Who knows? Have you ever wondered what Amazon coffins are and what they're full of? Well, we got you covered here on the channel. Check out our playlist of our Amazon coffin unboxings where Sarah and I open up boxes that have Amazon returns and we share with all of you what we get in each of those boxes. If you ever wanted to get into liquidation and want to know what types of things you can find, check us out. Now back to our show. A very, very small note of something that's coming out. In mid-April, we are beginning some blue milk from TrueMoo. So look forward to that. I know I'm looking forward to it. I think I saw that it's kind of like a vanilla-y type milk. And so maybe it'll be good.
Are you sure it's from TrueMoo?
I'm pretty sure.
Oh, it is. I thought it was from Country Fresh. Interesting.
Mm-mm.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Well, I am very excited to try it. We are uh going to Disneyland in about six
September.
months from now. So I'm very curious to see how the two compare, from the actual park versus the one that's going to be in stores for the general public. I definitely want to taste test both. Not that I can do it side by side because I won't have it with me, but
We'll
try and
have
take some
to
notes or something.
we'll have to freeze the blue milk in carbonite and then take it with us to California.
Yes, there you go.
Simple. The last section here, we want to talk about some video games, of course. We were kind of talking about the Lego games a second ago, but there is a couple other things. Some sad news. Unfortunately, EA Respawn has officially canceled the Mandalorian game, which is crazy because it was like a week or two after that people had just started talking about it and everybody was excited. There is a very, very big um, rumor going around of what happened with that. I don't want to cover all of it here because I literally heard it from this other guy. And so if you're interested in trying to figuring out, what happened with this Mando game, check out Star Wars Theory's YouTube channel. He was the one that broke everything down because I guess he knows the insider that works for EA or something like that. So, and he was, told about everything that happened. It's a pretty crazy situation if you really, put it into context. So again, if you want to hear more about that, go to his channel because as far as I know, he's the only one that's talked about it. But no Mando game, unfortunately.
Has there been any news about the Outlaws game? Because I feel like if you just tell me there's going to be a Mandalorian game and there's going to be an Outlaws game, to me they sound very similar. Um, I feel like Mandalorian, you could think of it as one of two ways, right? One is from the show, or the other is Boba was kind of a Mandalorian-ish somewhat, which, he's more tied to the Outlaws side of things. I know it's a stretch, just bear with me here. My point is that I feel like they could be very similar or very different types of games.
Yeah. Um, According to Star Wars theory, that is not what happened. So, um, it was a financial thing that broke it all apart, and it was very crooked in my opinion. But I could see how that would look similar. But we did get some very small news about Outlaws. They did, this was, in my opinion, this was so stupid, but maybe other people liked it. There was like a 30-second thing where it talked about like the hardware or like coding of the game. I don't know how to describe it, but basically showing off some of the features of it. It was like 30 seconds, and then at the very end, it did say 2024. So
Ooh.
they are confirming again, well, unless they push it back. It says the same company as Skull and Bones, and that one was pushed back a ton of times. But hopefully, we will get Star Wars Outlaws this year, probably towards October or November, is my guess. I am looking forward to the game. I have no negative feelings towards it. I'm happy that it's going to be third person and not first person like their other release, Avatar. I wish that game would have been third person. And also Indiana Jones is coming out. That's first person that I wish would have been third person. So I'm glad we're getting a third person game. Um, yeah. So no more Mando. And let's see. We
No more
touched on
Mando video game.
right, no more Mando video game. Last month we touched on there is a game called Brawlhalla that is having an event for Star Wars. I have not played this game before, but I did watch like a little trailer that they put out for showing off all the different things that will be coming to it that are, Star Wars themed. What I gathered is that it's kind of like a Super Smash Bros. Type game. So it could be fun to play. I've never done it, but could be. And what I saw was that they're going to have 4 playable characters. They're going to have Obi-Wan and Anakin, which we knew already. But then they're also going to have Ahsoka and Vader as playable characters. I don't know how Brawlhalla works with its unlocks. I don't know if you have to purchase all of these characters or if is it a battle pass like Fortnite or anything like that? I don't know. So all I know is that they're playable. Plus, there's going to be other cosmetic related things. It looked like you could get some lightsaber type things for characters that aren't even Star Wars characters, so that could be fun. Uh, the other big thing that I saw was that there's going to be a new map, and it's going to be Mustafar related. So I think that'll be cool. I think it's going on right now or very, very soon, because that trailer came out not too long ago. So if you're into Brawlhalla, check it out. I feel like I would like to, but I also feel like I don't have the time to, and that's kind of unfortunate. Um, excuse me. The last thing that I want to cover today is something that was very, very big in the media this month, and that is the Battlefront Classic Collection. So we did purchase the Classic Collection. I bought it and had it downloaded and ready to go on day one. So, the minute that that game came out, we were playing it. And so I'll talk about what I experienced, and then I'll talk about what happened with everybody else in the world. So for me, I have not played any online multiplayer with that game ever in my life for the classics. And so I kind of gravitated to the story mode right away. So I went there first. And I noticed with a couple of the things with the story mode is one, they would have like the beginning cutscene to the missions, but then when you would get to the completion of the mission, the little cutscene that happens after that, those were all removed for some weird reason. But the bigger thing is that I kept finding myself getting stuck in random places. So like if I used a jetpack and I ran out and I happened to plop right in between like three rocks, I would get stuck with him, my character, acting like it's still falling, you know, and it took a handful of button mashing to get me out of that spot. But there were annoying bugs like that. Aside from that, I didn't really have any issues. I wish you could like really crank up the sensitivity for how you move your cursor because I feel like it's a little slow going left and right. But other than that, it's been a great time. Now let's talk about what happened with the other people. So if you got this game and you jumped right into multiplayer, it was atrocious from what I've heard and what I've seen. Supposedly there wasn't enough servers. They were not anticipating how popular this game. I don't understand. This is what I don't understand. You can see the pre-order numbers, okay? And when EA had their Battlefront game out, there are so many people that had said if the originals came out, I would buy it and play that, you know, and just play it like crazy. That happened. So we all know people were going to buy it. And so when this game dropped, they they did not anticipate how many people they're I don't know what you'd call that, marketing, finance, whoever it's supposed to be speculating how many people they're going to have playing and how many servers they need. They did not understand the assignment one bit because people were trying to play the game, they couldn't get into servers, and once they were in servers, the servers were terrible. People's characters were going around like crazy, and so what happens with that is that now that people have experienced that, their credibility is tainted, right? So now that people probably, I don't know how many people went back. I know there was a patch that went out recently. I haven't tried multiplayer at all yet because I heard about this stuff. And so I don't know. It's terrible because we got what we wanted, but then we didn't get what we wanted, right? So I just wish that Disney would care more about their stuff because it's Aspire who made it. They are not a Disney company by any means. They're not owned by Disney. They just have licensing rights to make the game, sell it, and then a portion of the proceeds goes to Disney. And so I wish Disney would do more um, quality control with their products because I mean Star Wars is huge and Star Wars video games sell very well. You don't want that reputation to go, you know, and get destroyed. So I don't know why they're not doing anything. What do you think?
I have not played this new one, so I'm just gonna be totally honest. I have wanted to, I just quite frankly haven't made the time to. And also I like to watch video games just from a viewer standpoint. So there were a couple times that Jeremy was playing where I was just watching and not playing alongside him. When I played way back when I was a kid, the original, I had dial-up internet, so there was no like, oh, let me just hop on multiplayer. You know what I mean? So that's not something that I would have gravitated towards either. Um, so I would have been in the same shoes as you if I was, playing this for the first time, and I would have gone to the story mode. But for those who really enjoy multiplayer, or I'm sure at some point we'll try it just because with I think it was the EA Battlefronts where you and I would sometimes play multiplayer online. So not I know they're same but different, right? But my point is they're online. Uh it's something that I feel like it would be really fun to check out, but I would be really disappointed if they still haven't fixed these things, and it makes you nervous and almost not want to test it out because of that reputation. It makes me wonder for, like Outlaws or any of these other games that are coming out, if there are online portions, even if it's from a different company, just to make sure that these things are going to be taken care of. I saw you grit your teeth. What?
I'm just like, I really hope that doesn't happen. I hope Ubisoft doesn't crap the bed and release that and it's, buggy and an issue. If they do that, because, well, this is why people are upset, right? We had Jedi Survivor come out and it was very buggy. It was broken. We experienced things too with that was another thing. I had the game crash a time or two as well. So Survivor had issues and crashes. Now this game has issues and crashes.
Even when you're not playing online.
Right. That was all me single player that it was crashing and stuff. So um if they release Outlaws and it has a lot of these same issues, I almost feel like there's going to be another uproar by Star Wars fans like they did with Battlefront for EA. It took the community to get things right, and they did. They made a huge impact for the Battlefront 2 when EA was trying to, really dig their teeth into some microtransactions. I think if that happens, Star Wars fans are going to have to do it again.
I'm curious to see what happens because I know with other franchises, and I'm going to pick on Pokemon for a minute here, there are so many people who, like us, really like these franchises. It's a Star Wars game. I'm going to buy it because I want to play it. And then, like Pokemon, where they had some games recently, I don't remember which ones exactly. I'm sure you know what one I'm talking about.
Yeah, Scarlet and Violet.
That's not the one I'm thinking of, I don't think. It was Let's Go. It wasn't Let's Go. It was newer than that.
Are you
I
talking about where they had the lag issues and stuff?
Yes.
Yeah,
The
that was
most
Scarlet
recent
and
one that
Violet.
you played that was like third person.
Yeah, Scarlet and Violet.
Okay. Well, anyway, there were so many buggy issues with that game, and I don't think they ever fixed it. And that game came out like a year ago or longer, and that Pokemon is a very big community too. Tons of people play those games. And because it's a Pokemon game, people bought it and people played it and it had issues and there was no repercussions for them having those issues. People still paid the $60 or whatever it was for a game that was broken and it never got fixed. And what do you bet's gonna happen when they have another game come out and it's still the $60? Are they going to have those issues? Who knows? Because people still bought the other one even though it was broken. Why wouldn't they buy the new one now that it's broken?
Well,
So I
I'll
feel like
take
we're just in a system, a really bad spot for video games right now where the prices are still high or normal, whatever you want to call it, but the quality of what's being kicked out is going down because they're trying to pump these games out so fast. I know we talk about how much we hate delays, but I'd rather have, a 6-month delay if it means it's not going to be having all these issues.
say there's a couple things I want to mention. For Pokemon, they had DLC come out for those games, and guess who didn't get that DLC? Me, because I didn't want to throw it. And that was Scarlet and Violet was the first time since I've been with Sarah that, which has been 10 years now. Um, the first time I've never bought both games on the release day because I normally would buy, both versions and then, play them, put Pokemon in the Pokemon home and transfer them so I can have, Pokemon from both the games and all that good stuff. This was the first time I didn't. Why? Bug issues. So I also don't want to throw shade here, but I'm going to do it anyways. Um, I cover MLB The Show a lot. I love the game. Absolutely love it. I think I sunk like 800 or 900 hours into the MLB 23 last year. So it's no question that I enjoy it. However, one of the things that they have issues with, and it's very much connected here, is when their game dropped this year, there was issues right away. So like I was waiting at midnight, getting ready to film, and I got to play for 10 minutes, and then it was down for 30 minutes because issues happened, and you literally couldn't play the game. You couldn't even play the single player part of the game. I went to go play. I was like, okay, I can't play my favorite mode. It's an online mode. Something's wrong here. So I went to go play a single player part of it, and that wouldn't work. And so that's another thing going along with these, you know, this problem we've had with video games lately is just that there's a certain amount of care that unfortunately has not gone into these things. And the problem, like even with the baseball game, that's not new. They've had games, they've had those baseball games come since the early 2000s, I think, let alone they've had two, maybe three other. I can't remember when they started on the PS5. I think it's two other ones that they've had on there. And or no, three. It's three others now. They've done this three other times. Why aren't we looking at what happened back then to prevent what's happening now, you know? So
I think what the issue is here is we've been growing into such a digital age for video games where if it's not working properly, we'll just do a download patch on it. It'll be fine if it's important enough to us. Whereas you think back to like when we were kids and stuff, and not everybody had high-speed internet access all the time, and we were in the age of dial-up, and when you bought a game, that was it. Whatever was on there is how well it was going to work. So it had to be perfect. Um, we don't have that quality control anymore of it has to be perfect when it's released because they just fall back on, well, we'll just fix it later if we feel like it.
yeah, the if we feel like it is a big part of it. Because even though Pokemon has released patches for the Scarlet and Violet games, I don't think they've fully fixed what's going on with the lag and whatnot. My hope is that with the Switch 2, whenever that comes out, most likely next year, is that it's going to be able to run those games much better and we won't have to worry so much. But only time will tell. All right, so that was our discussion of the Star Wars news for the month of March. We look forward to covering more of the stuff next month. Of course, we are still covering tons of Star Wars content throughout the other weeks as well. We've been talking about the Bad Batch. We already, oh, one of the things that we can, drop a little tidbit here. We've been doing like gameplay videos every month. In the month of May, we're going to be featuring some more Star Wars games. Dark Forces is coming, and we are doing an experimental little thing with maybe like a little nice intro that's like specific to the game. You'll have to wait and see what that looks like, but I'm excited about it. So we got a lot of Star Wars stuff coming to you. We got our next I think Culture Fly box coming up pretty soon too, and I'm really looking forward to that because that's a dark side box, so it'll be cool. But if you enjoyed this type of video, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. That way you are notified when the next one drops, plus all of our other content that comes out on the channel. Drop us a like if you liked the video, and drop us a comment letting us know your thoughts on the news topics of the month. And if there was something we didn't talk about that you feel passionate about, let us know what it was, and then we can have a little discussion in the comments. And then, as always, everybody, thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.